Meet Dr. Morenike Oluwatoyin Folayan, a renowned professor of paediatric dentistry at the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife, Nigeria. Dr. Morenike spent her childhood years with her parents in Lagos and Akure, Nigeria. She had her primary education at Corona School, Lagos, and then moved on to Federal Government Girls College, Akure, where she had her secondary education. In 1989, Dr. Morenike graduated as a dentist from the University of Ife, now known as Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU. Her pursuit of knowledge continued with a Master's in Business Administration at OAU and a Master's in Education from the University of Nicosia, Cyprus, along with earning a fellowship of the West African College of Surgeons. Fondly known as Dr. Mo, she passionately mentors undergraduate and postgraduate students in clinical and research skills, as well as bioethics, adolescent sexual and reproductive health, community engagement in research, and HIV prevention, treatment, and cure research. Dr. Mo's commitment to excellence is evident through her active involvement in various professional associations, securing numerous travel scholarships and research grants nationally and internationally. Her extensive contribution to the academic community extends to serving in various capacities in national and international associations, committees, and projects. In the College of Health Sciences at Obafemi Awolowo University, she wears the hat of the Deputy Director of the College of Health Sciences Research and Partnership Advancement Units. She also leads the Research and Innovative Support Unit, where she collaborates with various units to enhance the research capacity and output of the college. An avid researcher and a prolific author, Dr. Mo is a member of multiple research groups, has authored 4 books, contributed 11 chapters to books, and has over 210 manuscript publications to her credit. Her impact extends globally as a peer reviewer and editorial board member for 26 high-impact factor health-related journals. Dr. Mo's research endeavors delve into the epidemiology of caries in children, with a particular emphasis on identifying macro-level factors influencing the risk of preschool children developing caries. Collaborating with colleagues, she is actively engaged in developing implementation models for integrating oral, mental, sexual, and reproductive health for adolescents. Dr. Mo also spearheads a global health initiative program. With over 25 years of experience in HIV and AIDS research, her contributions extend across Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. Some notable projects include her role as the community liaison for the Microbiota Trials Network and her involvement in the design and conduct of the Nigeria-Canada AIDS Vaccine Research Projects. Locally, she has played a pivotal role in building capacity for civil society organizations, communities, academia, and health research ethics committees, facilitating engagements with HIV prevention research through bioethics and research literacy training. Her community work focuses on research literacy programs for key populations, including female sex workers, men having sex with men, and other key affected groups. Beyond her professional achievements, Dr. Mo is a devout Christian and mother of 3 wonderful children. She believes in instilling Christian values in children from an early age. Throughout her distinguished career, she embodies the spirit of leadership and excellence, leaving a lasting impact in dentistry, global health, and research. Get ready to be inspired as we delve deeper into the remarkable life of Dr. Morenike Oluwatoyin Folayan.
My name is Morenike Oluwatoyin, but I'm also known as Morenike Oluwatoyin Folayan. My academic name is Morenike Oluwatoyin Folayan. I currently work as the Executive Director of the Central Office of Research for the one university there is in the whole world, Obafemi Awolowo University. Well, it's also the most beautiful campus in Africa. I love research. That's my lifeline. But beyond that, I love jokes. I like playing. I love teenagers, not babies, but teenagers. And I love happiness. Next. Oh la la, some question that is. You want me to tell you the truth about that? Okay, here we go. So in my secondary school days, we fill jam form in the class. So here I am in Form 5, time to fill jam form, and I'd never thought about what my career was. And so there was a good friend of mine, still my good friend, childhood friend, who had this very big faulty name. She wants to do metallurgical engineering. So I decided I'll do metallurgical engineering. And then I went home and told my parents I was going to do metallurgical engineering. And my father said, no, you do medicine. And yeah, I was a rebellious child. I just got to school. I definitely would not do medicine because I was told to do medicine. That's the very reason I shouldn't do medicine. And so a colleague of mine was sitting in front of me, Bumi Longe, yeah. And then I peeped into her jam form. What did you feel? How did you feel dentistry? And there I was, I feel dentistry. And voila, I am a dentist today. But I think much more than that, I don't think I actually knew what a career was anyway. So I got into dentistry, I did what it was, I passed my exams. I actually got a receipt in my final year in pediatric dentistry, a clinical receipt actually. I got pass mark for field clinicals. And so I took myself, nobody taught me, I took myself to Lagos where there were 6 consultants, top world-class consultants in pediatric dentistry to learn, pediatric dentistry. And under that tutelage, I found that I really did like pediatric dentistry. In my undergraduate years, my top scores were in orthodontics because I knew how to answer the questions actually. I knew what the lecturer wanted, so I got top scores. So I was thinking I'll do ortho. But then when I did my receipt, I got tutored in pedo. So that was how I decided, okay, let me specialize in pedo. So I specialized in pedo. But I found out while working as a pedodontist, I passed my fellowship and then I got into the university. But then I found out that if probably I had had good counseling, I would have done better in social sciences rather than dentistry. Because I think I did a lot better doing social science. So I kind of moved into epidemiology. So you find out a lot of my research is epidemiology. And I acquired the competency to do epidemiological research, a lot more of self-training, and I did have structured means of ensuring I get trained. I made sure every year, summer period, I made sure I went for training, I went for workshops, I read, I understudied what people were doing and grew my proficiency in epidemiological research. So you see me delve a lot more into doing epidemiology, including adolescent sexual and reproductive health research, mental health research, integrating oral health into mental health, sexual and reproductive health research, bioethics. And in dentistry, I kind of focus into early childhood caries and adolescent health, starting to streamline what adolescent health is like in dentistry because that's new. There isn't that kind of niche. And finally, I left clinical practice. I resigned from clinical work and I'm focused on doing epidemiology. No, it didn't fail me, I failed. It didn't fail me, I failed. I knew what I did. I remember very clearly what the questions were. It was a clinical failure. So in those days, and I remember very clearly, it was Professor Adenobi, late Professor Adenobi. So my short case, clinicals can be subjective. So I think we did long case before short case, and I had a case of dental alveolar abscess. But dental alveolar abscess in children, when it's a primary tooth, presents like periodontal abscess in the adult. And so I presented and clacked and presented it as the periodontal abscess. So I guess it was pissed off, and of course, I think it took the bias into the short case, and I failed. So I actually failed. But that lesson makes me teach very concisely every time I teach in the clinics. When I was teaching, about that distinction, why it happens, how you get the dental abscess to really presents like periodontal abscess in adults. But I think for me, if there's any lesson I'll teach is one, well, I'm a Christian. I guess that bias also affects my life. That the paths to destinies are not always straightforward paths. They're things that lead you to where you're supposed to be. So I think that made me see pedo in a new light that I would never have seen if I didn't go through that research, because it made me study hard, and I studied under the best I built 5 excellent teachers, and after me, you believe it, they all went to Saudi. So Lagos lost them. I probably was the last of their tutors, except Professor Shote, who stayed back. And I teach also. I tell many of my students that, look, don't fear receipts. The receipts are supposed to strengthen you. It's not, if you're not good and you don't take receipts, you're just going to be shallow throughout. Whereas receipts, you spend time and you strengthen. And many of the students I've seen who did receipts get out stronger, rather than going in life being that shallow. But I think if there's any life lesson, is never be afraid to fall. I've taken that with me forever. I am never afraid to fall. Once you see failure as part of life, but it's the ashes where you learn what not to do again, is strength. Once you're afraid of falling, you can't reach heights. You can never. So because you'll be very risk averse. But when you embrace failure as part of life, you just fly. And if you embrace failure as part of life also, you are less likely to stigmatize people, to talk negatively about people. You're much more likely to be willing to support people when they seem to be down, because you understand that down is not out. Down is life experiences, and you're there to help them. Yeah.
On and off effect of estrogen is taken away from your body every month. If 1 million people die, 68,000 of them were killed by alcohol.
I'm not sure I have. My childhood was just, a good child, goes to school. Those rebellions are just, I think that everybody's little rebellions, some of us are bold enough to express them in that way. Some are not. Some are bold enough to express it in wider ways. But I think we all have them. Just like I'm sure many of us also have, I'm sure that these are not my parents because they're so strict. Oh no, this cannot be my parents. I was picked up on the street, Only for you to grow up in life and thank God that you had those parents who were strict with you. So my childhood was, I think for me, I remember my childhood as thankful and privileged, especially to my mom, who chose to, despite the fact that she was, a middle income family, she chose to have the best and give us the best of exposures and education. I cannot take that for granted. I don't think it happened by accident. It came because my mother was determined to do that. So I went to school in Corona School, and that was pretty good. I mean, that's one of the top schools in those days. And then I moved on to Federal Government College, Akure. She tried to get me into Queen's School, but I flunked the interview. I flunked very badly. Nobody needed to tell me that I wasn't going to get an admission because I knew I flunked the interview. So, but I knew she did everything to get me into the best school. And then there was Federal Government College, Akure. We just moved into Akure, so I got in as the first set in the second year, and there I finished in Akure. That was good. Yeah, just good. And then I straight moved into Ife. I think my best modeling years was my tutelage under Professor Oluwatoyin, who left behind awesome memories of what it means to strive for excellence. For those of us that had the privilege to be taught by him, if there's anything he left in us, is that you can't choose mediocrity. You must choose excellence. I don't know how he instilled that, but he did. And I think for us that we're privileged and honored to be taught by such an excellent teacher, I think we've done well in life. Of course, not failing to acknowledge that God Almighty has a major role to play even in that success. So that's that of my life. And yeah, I think my life was just life. It's just living, yeah. Mom and dad, my parents are late, but my mom was awesome. Yeah, my mom was awesome. I think I remember a lot more about her. I probably remember her 100 times before I remember my mom, my father once. Not that I didn't have a father, I had a father, but my mother was what you see most times. I remember my father was really top, but you just don't see him. He comes in, he goes into his room, the next time he comes out, okay, let me tell you something awesome about when he comes out. He doesn't like laziness, and his laziness means you mustn't be in bed at 7 or something. So of course it's holiday time. I went to boarding school, so what you just do is when you just notice that it's time for him to get out of his room, we all come out of the bed and behave as if we're active, and just once it goes out, bam, we all get back into the bed and sleep. And that's all we see of him. Of course, when he comes, he goes into the river. I remember my mom. My mom is awesome. If there's anything I learned from my mother without her training me directly, was truth, to be truthful. If my mother said black, it's black. Believe it. You don't need to check it. You don't need to double check. I learned that from her without her saying a word about it. I learned excellence. I learned being prayerful without her calling prayer meetings in the morning and downing and say it must be that way. She was the one that took us to church from childhood, and I've learned that having your kids go to church from childhood instills a major part of their life, no matter how adventurous they go in life. That those trainings in those early formative years, it's what stamps them, in future life. At least it has for me. And I have grandchildren, I've had children. I tell you, I'm amazed that when I see what they do in their life now, and those were things that we unconsciously did with them when they were growing up, and they were replicating it in their life. It's awesome. I tell you, I just feel, what? This thing mattered? Yeah, so I give 99% of my formative years to my mom. I'm sure my dad was there with her, but it was my mom I saw. But they're both late, we have, their own family, their own extended family is where I belong to. It's an excellent support system. I wouldn't have wished for another. I have an excellent social support system, and with my cousins and my aunties. You probably won't know that we're different. Many people say my auntie is my mom, there's that kind of mix-up. And for a long time, everybody was mom. I rebelled. I think I was the first person that started using auntie because everybody was mom. But, I just said, everybody can be mom. There must be a distinction. And I started using aunties for some. Yeah, but there were some that was always mom. Anybody older than my mom remained mom. Everyone on lower was auntie, But yeah, lovely life with them. I'm grateful for the opportunities they made available to us as their kids. Yeah. Oh yeah, some journey. Yeah. So yes, I got married at 21. I had my first kid, my love of my life, Motoyosi, at 22. She's awesome. She's really awesome. I love her. She's she has a grandkid. She's married, happily married. I'm grateful for that, because at the end of the day, I actually broke up with her father. And the father broke up with me. I don't know why. I was at Damiloju's wedding today, and I was remunerated. I was thinking back, reflecting. That maybe if I had broken up with him, I would have broken up anyway. Think so. But I could have stayed not married. I thought about that a lot. But I married again anyway, and I had, fortunately, 2 excellent kids. A guy in Yabasi and a daughter, Ayomide. Ayomide came before Yabasi. 2 excellent. So I have 3 excellent kids, beautiful, peaceful kids. I keep thanking them every day of my life that they never gave me troubles. I think I'm privileged. They say thank you, but I said, no, you don't understand. And why do I say that? I remember very clearly when I was taking Ayomide, Motor years actually, because they all left Nigeria at A levels, not university. They left when they were going to do A levels. I chose to go that route because I felt that they should go to A levels, which is 2 years, allows them to stabilize in a new environment before they get into their university. Very expensive, I tell you, extremely expensive, but that was the route. I needed them to stabilize before they go in, So, and it wasn't going into A levels, it was boarding house. I remember when my first was going, and I told the senior colleague I needed to take my kids, and the only word she told me was that, isn't your kid going to get pregnant? And I was shocked. That's all you had to tell me. My kid is going to get pregnant. But they didn't get pregnant. They didn't go smoking. They didn't lose school. They finished school. They did well, top grades. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful because there would have been a lot of talk. Oh, they're from broken homes. Oh, why wouldn't they misbehave? Oh, they didn't have guidance. The parents was here and they left them alone in school. So that was a tough thing for me, but I'm ever grateful to them that, well, maybe they protected my integrity or my own image, but they've come out well. So I have 3 kids, 1 grandson, 1 lovely grandson, Ire. I love Ire. Doing well. He's living with autism, but he's doing really well. I love him with all my heart. Yeah. And I have an also. It's a son. It's not supposed to be a son-in-law. Like I heard today. Awesome. Junior. Yeah. He loves my daughter, and I'm ever grateful for that. Forever grateful for that. So that's my new family. That interview, that wasn't one I actually said, ironically, but I just didn't bother because it went up. And I told the interviewer that's not what I said, but she did. She said she was going to pull it down and edit it, but she never. Look, well, she's written. But on reflection, yeah. I think for my second marriage, there were struggles. I think there were struggles about my career. My career was. There were struggles, not just with my marriage, it also was with my own seniors. I had a career that got me to travel a lot because I got very early into HIV care. Very early. I was there very early when HIV was still a stigmatized problem. I was there very early before the word home-based care was done, and I was working with colleagues doing home-based care. So that got me into that space very early. And in that space, not only was I doing home care, clinical care, I was doing bioethics very early. So it got me to travel a lot. I didn't have the support of the office, my senior colleagues. I didn't have. They were really tough for me on that. But I think in the home front, it could have been better. I think he was just a lot more traditional. And I remember once there was the senior people from the church who came and he told them that it's okay for me to stop work, and I was going to do it, if that was going to give me peace. But this guy said no. It's not. I guess they knew from experience. So marrying that hectic work schedule. But the thing that made it worse in terms of being hectic was that I lived in Ibadan and I came to work every day. Every day. I come to work from Ibadan to Ife and I travel back. I had a tough office space that couldn't give me a break, which meant that even if we were faculty board meetings going 4, 5, 6, I had to stay. And back home, it was tough because I drop my kids in school in the morning and I go pick them in the evening. I pick them. So I leave Ife and pick them. And many times during the faculty meetings, they will take them away from school and go put them somewhere because they have to wait for me. Then I travel. I didn't have a car. And finally, I had a car driver. It was a tough time. But I could have sacrificed my career. There were many points actually in my career that I'm sure many people don't know. There were many points in my career that I'd left. There was a time I'd resigned. I resigned after my part one actually. But my head of department, there were things I didn't do right, and then I came back. And then when I finished, they didn't give me a job. Professor Dentistry, we're forever grateful. He stood his ground and said, no, you're going to get a job. And that's how I got a job. And then I got a job. And my promotions got stopped forever. And I'm forever grateful to Professor Mrs. Fatusi. I love her. Yeah. So at every point, there were many tough routes. But I found families outside family. Professor Fatusi forever. Tokbeso, Professor Wotade. They were there in those tough moments. But the worst thing is now when I look back and I reflect back and I see they are really tough. I mean, there were just events in my life and I walked through. But now I reflect and I say, oh, those were tough times. But there were times during those periods. I remember once I went to a psychiatrist. I went to a hospital. I said, look, I need a psychiatrist. Because I wasn't sure I wasn't going mad. But they said they didn't have a psychiatrist. And then I went back. Well, yeah, they were tough, but God took me through. Yeah, I guess a number of these things, people could have broken down. Well, I didn't. And I'm glad. I think it's God that took me through that storm. It was storm. It was all terrible storm. But I'm here. And I thank God. So you're not taking the realities of the context of our lives to inform solutions. So it's I think we're making success with our 1990. I also know that you can run data the way you want it to run. But I am concerned. I'm concerned for two things. Because the success is about 5% left behind. And which is okay with public health. If you have a 95% success response, you succeeded. But believe me, I tell people our 5% is bigger than Botswana as a country. Our 5% is bigger than putting Botswana and Namibia together. It's actually bigger than 3 countries together, actually. So when you leave 5% behind, you're definitely going to have a rebound, especially when you're not planning on how to continue to address that 5% after 2030. 5% may be nothing in Botswana, but 5% is 3 countries. So what's going to happen? So those are my concerns. Yeah, I'm not. And once the country is not driving the agenda and it's the donors driving it, you're going to continue to go the donor's way. You have to take the program out of the hands of the donor, redesign it in a way that you're responding truly to your needs. And it's not siloed. It's development oriented, which means it's integrated to a whole number of things and you're not looking for attribution. Your success is the developmental outcome, not the number of HIV or TB or malaria. It's a development that you want to see. Once you all as a whole start to go that direction, you'll see true changes.